Okay, so being 100% real, I wondered if I should do this, but I also feel like I kind of have to. Not that anybody's making me by gunpoint or anything, but um, something that I have noticed is as far as K-pop goes, I'm more interested in listening to K-pop because there's more layers to it. It's more interesting to listen to. The beats are a lot different. I feel like, and people have already brought this up, where there are like 5 or 4 chords that you can use to play like 20 gazillion songs because they use the same chords over and over and over again. So what I wanted to do today was go over one of my favorite songs because it's so different, which is Tempo by EXO. Um, I am an old K-pop fan in the sense that I am aware of almost every group that's out there, which is why I don't do reaction videos because I've usually already seen it. And I don't really want to take the time to jump into editing on that. So we're just going to jump straight into Tempo, which I absolutely love. So I'm not going to lie. First thing that I have to say is I'm a huge fan of Chen's voice. The way that he vocalizes and the riffs is gorgeous. If I could do that, I'd be famous like he is. I'm not. He's amazing. And I love listening to the way that he does things. The inflection that he puts in his voice is incredible. Second thing I have to point out is actually something I'm going to bring up later, but it's the bass line, the vocal bass line that has already come in. So I gotta throw this out here. Chanyeol is my bias in EXO. I dig his voice a lot. But something that I noticed watching this performed live is the little nuances that he throws in at like the end of verses and lines and phrases that you just I feel like you miss it in the music video and in what I'm watching now, which is the lyric video. So that is something that I have to point out is that they throw a lot of things in there that I feel like get overlooked and missed, which is sad because they're all awesome. I am going to say that bothers me. So you probably heard the little woohoo, but they never attribute it to who actually did it. That bothers me because I want to know. But I do have to say I love the timbre that Sehun has for his raps. I love it. I honestly wish we got to hear him sing a little bit more because I think that would be more interesting. There again is another beautiful riff that is non attributed to anybody. And I do have to bring up that Suho and Chen's their voices are very similar. And I feel like it's beautiful to listen to them sing together because they sound similar enough that it almost sounds like the same voice, which is crazy to find two people that are not related by blood that sound that similar. Okay, that stop right there is one of my absolute favorites. I think it's when I was first listening to Tempo, that was when I was like, I love this song. And it's just so, it's out there enough that it's different, but it's not so out there that you're like, this is over the top. This is ridiculous. They need to tone it down. And I love that pause and then bringing it back in with the wow. It's very cool. It's very technical and beautiful to me. I do want to talk about that. I Something that I appreciate with EXO is that you get to hear their different timbres and that leads you through the song. So, for instance, Dio has a very soft voice. The way that he sings is very sweet, versus Chen, who has a little bit more of like a bite or an oomph to his voice that kind of takes you out of that sweetness. So, to me, it's super fun and exciting to hear that transition from Dio singing a little bit more sweetly to then Chen bringing it back into a little bit more of a bitter, like not bitter, but like a harsher, quicker place in music. To me, that's a very interesting thing to listen to in a good transition. So I am going to right now pull out of the main vocals and focus on the background noise of what's happening. It's hard to differentiate between whether this is a guitar or a voice that we're hearing. I love that because a voice is an instrument just like an electric guitar or anything like that. So to me, it's fun to listen to something like that because you have to take a moment and almost tune out what they're giving you as like the main thing that you should be listening to kind of focus more on what's happening in the background. And that right there is the reason that K-pop gets me, because there's so many layers. There's the main vocal layer, there's the harmonies layer, there's the music layer, and then there's the like hidden vocals layer along with like the hidden instrumentals, which I personally will go look up videos of hidden vocals because I love that. I think it's so cool to have that. And I think for me, it bothers me that people overlook that in music because there's, I think, 10 times more musicality that happens in the background vocals than there is in the main vocals. But we focus on the main vocals and what we hear before we get into those background vocals. So this is what I wanted to bring up. So I've heard a lot of people say that nobody has the balls or the guts or whatever to cover tempo for this reason, because this is full acapella, which is a scary place to be when you're on stage, when you're performing at all, because so much can go wrong. In acapella, the idea is not only that you need to stay on key, but you need to blend with all of the parts that are going on besides your own. So if you're singing the melody and you start to go flat, everyone else will go flat to try and blend with you. That is what makes this so impressive, is when they perform this. Granted, sure, they have earpieces in that they can help them correct that. But that's why it's so difficult to sing a cappella, have the music cut out, and then come back in. Is because if you are off even a little bit, anybody with any sense of music is gonna, their ears are gonna bleed a little bit. They're gonna be upset, and they may not know why. They're not as happy with the performance, but that's gonna be why. Is because the singers are not matching the music because they're off key. I also really love the snapping coming in, because I feel like it's not that the tempo was going to drag, but that often also happens in a cappella performances. The tempo starts to drag or lag because you're spending so much time trying to blend with those around you, trying to hit the right harmonies and the right notes, trying to make sure you're on. The tempo often can drag. So I love that they came in with an inventive, creative way without dropping the beat again and bringing the music in to keep themselves in line with what tempo they had originally set for themselves. I love this part because of how full it sounds. If you sing together with a group of people and you're able to bring your voice in line with theirs, there's nothing like, nobody's vibrato is faster, nobody's singing a little bit higher, a little bit lower. It creates such a distinct sound, and you can actually magnify voices that way. In the sense that you can have two people sound like 8, you can have 3 people sound like 16, like, because they're singing exactly in line with each other, it sounds like there's more voices than there are. Okay, so that is Tempo. I jam out to this song when I walk. I love it. I'm a big EXO fan for their harmonies, and that's not to say that other groups don't have a lot of harmonies. In fact, I think I might start doing some videos to point out some other harmonies. VIX is a huge example of that. They have a lot of background vocals that happen in theirs, but shout out to EXO because they are awesome, and I am definitely an EXO love. So anyway, this was my video. If you want to subscribe, feel free. I don't subscribe to a ton of people, so I don't feel like you absolutely have to. But we'll see you in the next video.